So as I didn't talk about this before, but again, I wanted to talk about it for a while. And that was in relation to communions and confirmations. Obviously, it didn't go ahead last year, communions and confirmations. And obviously this year we're in a entirely different situation and everything's changed. And obviously many priests, again, it's up to the bishops of that diocese to say what's happening. But there's a lot of priests going ahead, and I just want to say there's a few good lot going ahead. I know there's 2 or 3 priests in Cavan going ahead, despite what the bishop says, because they're saying it's safe, to have a few children, and even if they have to have it an hour separating different children, bring them in, take for example 15 children in to give them communion, and then bring another 15 about an hour later, whatever. That's feasible. That's workable. I'm sure people would agree. And Neffet and the West of them obviously don't like that. They don't want people to have something to celebrate. Again, I remember my confirmation and communion. Even though it's a nice religious event, children they're very happy with it because they get confirmation money and things like that. And it's a good event. It's a very positive event. It's something that they do remember, and that's something I do remember my confirmation and my communion. It is something to remember, and it's something that gets the family together. And again, unfortunately, there's not many. You only have outdoor dining. Many of them go for feed afterwards or other things. And it is difficult, and this kind of cats a culture too. That an effort is actually interfering and saying, fuck yous. Forgive my language, but that's basically what Nevin's doing. Just it's not important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's sacraments. Things like that. What's sacraments? Leo Farco and the rest of this. They're just like it's not important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your religion doesn't matter unless you're from outside the country. It matters. That's the only time it ever matters. If you're a Catholic, no, we don't like that. We hate that. Again, it's the country we live in now. But I want to talk about too, because the local county council in Cavan, so I former Cahill up to Cavan County Council, Anua, too, just to say, into, I keep saying Anua, into, I keep saying the two, I have how it happened of just saying Anua, I find it easier to say than Anua. Yeah, it's kind of cancel culture, and that's kind of true. Said the children, because there's a lot of people, and again, I know for example, in another parish, I think in Lockwood, there was a woman, I think she put it up on Facebook, that she was only told a few hours before, and they were only told a few hours before that the confirmation wasn't going to go ahead. And again, I say to the bishop and things, it's 50 max in the church at the moment. But again, I say to the bishops and things like that, it can be done. There's ways of walking around it. They can bring in some children in an hour. But again, some of the priests are just too lazy. And it's true, they've got into this happen. I say this straight, there's priests in this county and other counties that are just too lazy now, and they're too busy sitting in their houses because they won't go and see the dying. They won't go and see the dick. I know the people that are sick. And that's just putting it straight. They won't go and see the sick. They won't see the dying. They won't go like there's some priests who are refusing to go and marry people. Just like they're purely, and they're still getting paid for it. They're still there and they're still getting paid for it, even though they're not doing any mass or anything. And it's true. That's the people. There's priests doing it. And again, I often say this: what would Jesus do if he were sick and if he were dying? Would he care about a virus? Would he care? He put himself at risk to go and comfort the person that's dying, or to comfort the person that's sick, to help them, to give them some kind of healing. They know that somebody's there and that somebody's praying and looking after them. And again, some of these priests were utterly refusing. I know a few people that mothers were dying and the uncles were dying, and what did they call on the priests for the last rites? And to have a priest there in the last hours. The priests said no, and the majority of priests said no. There was a few priests that were decent and didn't care about their own safety, and said, the dying and the people that are leaving this earth come first, and they are the people that need to comfort. They need comfort going into the last few moments on earth. And again, we have priests that refuse to die. But again, it is cancer culture too. And again, you think, and the church is the most safest place to be. And again, this is something the Neft will not understand, because I don't know what they worship. They must worship Satan or something like that. Or the World Health Organization of bloody, I don't know who you would say to worship. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because it can be walked out. It can't be walked out. It's just because some priests are just lazy. Because they can bring in 50 along with the family. If they could do about 10 children, take for example an hour, and then another hour later do 10. Take for example, even in Cavan Town, like a teacher in Cavan Town, they could do it. It's feasible. It is really feasible. It's a big bloody cathedral. What more do they want? Do they want people to stand in the middle of the Arctic or something like that and have communion? Because it's a big cathedral. It is a really big cathedral. I know there's some small cathedrals, but again, it's a safe place. It really, really is a safe place. There's no one before should be here to say that. But they are safe. They are really, really safe. Church is the most safest place to be at this moment. And again, they want just people to be feared. They want the people to just not have any moment of celebration. But yeah, I'll let you hear what Sarah Wiley had to say. It's a 28-second clip. It's a Northern Sound. But again, I do think it's a disgrace that they just won't have it. Again, some priests, fair play to them. I will take my hat off to them and just say fair play. Because these bishops and everything that, again, you often wonder, because I wonder what Jesus would say. I wonder what he would say. I really would wonder. Because I don't think he would say to the children, to the people at the parish, the children going to get the confirmation communion, to go away. Don't come near the church. Stay away. Don't come here. I wonder what Jesus would say. Jesus would say, come on in, my children. Come in. Come in. And again, just when I'm here, actually, when I'm just touching on this briefly, about communion, because in some churches they just utterly refuse now to give out the communion. Again, some of the carry on that's happening in some of these churches, it's ridiculous. They won't give the communion into the mouth. You have to, in some churches you have to go up and take it out of the chalice and put it into your mouth, because they won't hand it out. And this is some of the carry on that's going on in some of the places. But I'd say on this, when I was talking about my grandmother, though, and I still to this day when I'm getting communion, I still do it. I always get in the mouth, because as my grandmother said, it could be the priest, it could be an altar servant or whatever, giving you the communion, but it doesn't matter. You're not supposed to touch the sacraments. Again, that's why I put it into my mouth, because they're not supposed to be touched by me or by anybody else, because they're sacred. They're sacred to the priest. They're sacred to the person who's given it to. And that's what I believe. And again, I don't believe in getting your hand unless you have a problem, with your mouth or whatever. But I do believe that the mouth is the best place to get your sacraments. Compared to getting it in your hand and putting it into your hand, I don't think that's right at all, and I don't agree with it. But anyway, the many priests won't do that now, and I just say to priests, to please cop on a bit, to cop on a bit, because you didn't. Jesus wouldn't have said, I'm not going to do this because I could get sick, X, Y, and Z. But anyway, listen to Sarah Wiley about Celtic culture in the church. This is 28-second clip.
It's extremely difficult for people to understand why Mass for 50 people receiving communion is acceptable, and why Mass for 50 people receiving communion for the first time is not acceptable. It does seem a very strange piece of scientific gymnastics. And if we are to believe...
So I just want to interrupt Sarah for a second there. She's totally right. She's totally right. And some baptism too. I've got to say for baptism too. Some priests won't do it either. But yeah, gymnastics is it's very interesting word to use there, gymnastics, because they don't know. Like again, some priests are going ahead despite what the bishop says, despite what an effort says, despite what Garda Síochána O'Connor says. And they're barging in the churches. When do you see the big out barging into a church in every county now and sooner or later, just to make sure they're not having confirmation or communion? But again, it's gymnastics, and an effort shouldn't really have a say in this. I know the government shouldn't have a say in this. They should just do it, and that's as simple as that. And some people are saying, they could do it outside, on the church grounds. Again, it's doable. It is doable. Again, it's walking around it, I suppose, outside of it. Having doing it in the church car park if necessary, on the church grounds. I do. It could work. Again, it could work with an effort being a pile of pricks, if you excuse my language. But it could work just to 9M. I do think they should start doing that just to 9 effort, because it is safe. It's supposedly an effort says it's okay outside. Then they'll probably whinge about it. Anyway, I'll actually listen to Sarah over the next few minutes.
That the sacraments are off, in the words of Leo Varadkar, because of the...
I interrupt Sarah again. So Leo Varadkar did say they were kind of off, and he did kind of say that one of the days last week. So, again, I wonder what he really thinks about all this lockdowns and things like that. I wonder what he thinks in his head that he's not saying.
The fear of family gatherings and parties, then why would the government increase the number of people attending weddings?
Yeah, she just proved my point. She just really proved my point. Because you can add, there's more people going to weddings now, and I don't know about funerals, but weddings is okay, and I think funerals are the same. But it's apparently it's a terrible offence to let anybody go in for confirmation or communion. It's just it's a mad it's a mad country, isn't it? Only it's just crazy. It's just a crazy time. But yeah, let me know what you think. This is Scott Moore, and take care. Bye.